It definitely sounds like gnolls. That's for sure. You've encountered plenty of gnolls in your previous and past adventures, so you're able to determine that yes, this is definitely the sound of gnolls.
I relate this to the others.
Okay. We were sent to kill gnolls, so it sounds like that's what we gonna be doing. I'm
Yeah,
gonna open the door unless someone protests.
sounds like you guys are definitely in the right place. All right. So if you want to go ahead and open the door, I will open the door for you through dynamic lighting. And there you go. As you open the door, you notice that there is a short flight of stairs that is descending down into this room. You can also see that as you enter the room, or as you are near the entrance to the room, you see several massive braziers shedding a bright light into this chamber as well. Towards the middle of the room, you see a massive golden casket that is dominating the presence of the entire center of the room. Flanked on each side of this massive golden casket are small sarcophagus as well. You also see gnolls with spears and shields that are standing at each end of the golden casket, and you also hear some growls and cackling as well behind the golden sarcophagus. And as you kind of peer into the room a little bit more, to the most eastern side of the room, you appear to see a gnoll that seems to be maybe a little larger than the rest, but he is wielding a bow, and it looks like he is levying it in your direction. So let's go ahead and roll initiative. This is basically a combat encounter. Like I was saying, you have 2 combat encounters tonight, and let's do initiative and see how you guys do. Because we are using the new well, not the new, it was from a couple years ago, but we're going to use the monster modifications for the 4th edition errata. So the monsters are definitely going to hit harder, but there's going to be less hit points involved now. So combat should go a little bit faster on both ends for the creatures and for you, and you'll see that you're going to be hit a lot more, and you're also going to hit a lot more as well. So, but
Question.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this casket in the middle and 2 on the north and the south of it, is that blocking any access to the gnolls?
It sure does, man. It sure does. It looks like that there's basically, it acts as like a boundary that's separating, your party from the gnolls. It looks like it's been put up as sort of like an obstacle. And if you're going to you'll notice that the sarcophagus on the left and the right of the main casket, those are 2 feet high. So the monsters will have partial cover. So you will get a -2 to attack. That's if you're going to attack at range. But you can also jump over these as well, which they are 2 feet. I'm not going to really make you do any kind of athletics or acrobatics check because they're so low. But if you're wanting to do anything fancy or anything like that, then we'll go ahead and incorporate a roll in there. But as for
the casket in the south looks like the lid's off of it. Can I jump inside it?
You cannot. No, it is not. No, there's no lid off of it. It basically has sort of like a small monument on top of the actual sarcophagus itself. So yeah, but it is much taller. It's almost 5 feet tall. So if you're wanting to do anything fancy off that sarcophagus, then yes, you're going to need an athletics to climb up or an acrobatics to jump over. And
thank you.
Yep, no problem. And on the eastern side, that platform is elevated, and you can also see with the shadow representation, that is also 5 feet off the ground. So the gnoll is actually pretty easy to see. Once your eyes get focused and you kind of do your first glance around the room, and so there you go. Yes, Vincent, this is Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition, but we're using we're using Essentials classes.
Who's got initiative?
Alright, so I'm going to do my initiatives real quick on these guys, because I was explaining some things to you guys.
I think I did my initiative right. I found the button for it after I did that.
Yeah, that's
Click
all
on
you
your
do.
character, and you got up on top of the screen, you'll see your macros.
Yeah, I found it after I had already rolled it off the character sheet.
I'm getting better at these macros here, Dave.
I see that. I like that. All right, so it looks like I've done all of the rolling for the creatures. It looks like Rack, Farnak, Dritz, and Zantag has rolled. Who's not in the tracker? Let's see. It looks like Dritston is. Dritzen's.
I'm not in
Lovo,
there. Lovo. I got a 22.
Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll manually add you. Sometimes it doesn't add people to the tracker, so I think it's just when everybody, when I say roll for initiative, everybody rolls for initiative, and I think it overloads the tracker when there's so many commands going to it at one time. I think it just sometimes some just get skipped. But
Well, he rolled his
problem.
manually, so
Yeah, I think I did mine wrong. I rolled it manually.
Did you? Yeah, you can just target your token. I'll explain the macros real quick to you. There's basically 8 macros. There's your initiative macro. You just target your token, hit the initiative, bam, it throws it up into the tracker. The second is the save and skill check. So basically what's going to happen is when you hit that, if you want to do an acrobatics check, when you hit the save check macro, it's going to pop up 2 questionnaires for you. The first box is going to say, what kind of skill or save check is this? So if you want to do a acrobatics check, just type in acrobatics. Hit enter or press the OK button. And then the next pop-up question will say, what is the total modifier? So you just open up your character sheet and you look to see what your acrobatics skill is. So in the case of, let's see, if Dritzen wants to do some fancy tumble over the middle coffin, then you'll just scroll down. He's got a 2 to his modifier for acrobatics, so you would just put a 2. You don't have to put +2. You can just put 2 and once again hit enter or hit the OK button, and then it'll tell you an acrobatics roll has been made and the roll is 1d20 plus 2, and it'll tell you the total. So, and d4 through d20 are the same thing as the save check, but in one regard. It's not going to ask you, it's a 2-step questionnaire. The dice queries is what they're called. So whenever you hit, say, the d20, it's going to add, the first question is going to say, how many dice are you rolling? Obviously, you're rolling 120-sided. So just type in 1, hit enter. And then the second is, what's your total modifier? So you'll just look at your character sheet, and all of the characters, like Dritzen, all of his attacks are primarily wisdom-based. So for his plus attack, I put based off of wisdom. Rack is basically strength-based. Farnak is intelligence-based. Lovo is primarily dexterity-based. So I've taken the class into consideration and the primary stat. So you would, Dritzen, you would put in, if he's +6 or 7, you would just put that in, hit enter, and it will roll your 1d20. And the damage is the same way. So if you're doing, if you're using a damage card and it says 2 weapon, then you'll do, if you're using a longsword, you'll do 1d8 or 2d8 or whatever for a crit, or if you got a magic item. It just depends on, there's a lot of, but short story is you guys don't have any magical items. This is also, I'm testing to see if characters can progress through all 30 levels without a single magic item, because I want to see if the actual mechanics will keep the classes caught up with the creatures, which I think it will. And so you would basically do 1 roll for 20, and then your modifier, if it's +8, then they'll do 1d8 plus 20. Well, 1d20 plus 8. So there you go. Long rant. Sorry about that. All right. So first up, let's go ahead and descend and order this. Looks like, wow, Zantag got a 26 initiative. Very nice, man. So what are you doing to start off the battle? You see quite a few. You see 3 goblins, and you hear some cackling and things like that, which you can see hyenas, what appear to be, they have the face of a gnoll, and you can actually see these hyenas kind of jumping up on their hind legs, trying to look over the large golden coffer that's dominating the center of the room. So you can definitely tell that there's at least 2, maybe 3 hyenas as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, first things first is the Wolf's Aura.
Okay, there you go. You've got the Wolf's Aura on. That is your minor action. So you still have the standard and movements as well.
Yep, I'm just going to move up a little bit with the druid, and the wolf is just going to move up a little as well. and end it there.
Okay, nothing else for you?
Nope, that's it.
All right. So, Lovo, what are you doing? The ranger.
Alright, do I have to load my bow before I can fire, or
No.
do I just use the at will?
In 4th
Okay.
edition, the bow is just it's a freeload. Now, if you were using a crossbow, it would take a minor action to load it. But seeing that you just have a regular bow, bam, no problem.
Alright, I want to use my rapid shot to fire at the center of the 3 hyena-looking things.
Well, the hyenas, those are. Remember, I was saying there's a 5 foot. That golden coffer is about 5 feet high. So now that you're not going to be able to shoot the hyenas per se, because they basically have total cover. You can just see once in a while you can see one of the heads popping up as it's growling, cackling, but now the gnolls on the other hand that are behind the short sarcophagus, yes, you can attack those, or if you want to attack the gnoll on the platform in the very back, you can also attack him as well, and it'll just be a -2 to attack any of the other gnolls because of the obstacles that they have. But right now the hyenas aren't. You can't get to those right this second.
Is it superior cover, or even better than that?
Well, it would basically be total cover. It would be really a -5. But I mean it's. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. What best attack you would have, best options you would have to attack.
Alright. Then I need to get in the stance of Regal Lion and do a clever shot at the green thing on the bottom there, on the south side.
Oh, okay, on this gnoll here?
Yeah, that's the one.
Alright. Clever shot is a pretty nifty little shot. I like that.
Question.
Go ahead and do your roll.
Is it half movement down the stairs?
No, it's full movement. I would
Okay,
let
thank
you
you.
know if there was any kind of hindrance. Now, like I was saying, that if you want to go over the short sarcophagus, it's basically going to be there's no check involved unless you're wanting to do something super fancy, but it would cost you basically 2 squares to go over it. It will cost you 2 movement. But the center, you can go over that as well, which is going to cost you 2 per square. But an athletics or acrobatics check would be involved in crossing the golden coffer.
I told you the wrong aspect too. I need to do the dancing serpent one. I got the 2 confused. How do I put that on?
It just costs you a minor action. Yeah.
Do I have to actively do it, or does it?
Yeah, it costs you a minor action. Mm-hmm. Yeah, whenever you go into combat, whenever you click on the aspect of the dancing serpent, you'll see that it is an at will, so you can do it at any time, but it costs you a minor action. And when you do that, then you assume the stance of the dancing serpent, and then you get the bonuses for that. But it only costs you a minor action one time, so you're going to have that on you for the entirety of the fight. So it's not next round. It's not going to cost you another minor action to keep it on you, as somebody with a mark like the paladin or the guardian fighter would mark a target where it actually costs them a minor action every round to keep that on the target. So no, yours is just a one-time purchase of a minor action. So
Okay, I wasn't sure if I needed to do something to my character. I'm not real familiar with the Roll20, so I didn't know if I needed to.
no,
Okay.
you're good to go. Now you'll see that the wolf has an aura. Now if you were playing the guardian fighter, or if you were playing a paladin that has an aura of a close burst 1, then you'd have an aura around you. But your aspect doesn't. It only affects you. So as it states beside minor action, it's personal. So you won't have any kind of aura around you.
Alright, so I
But we'll know
roll
that's
1d10 plus 1 at that thing,
That would be a
but I have to roll to
1d20.
try to hit it.
Yeah,
Okay.
any to hit is a 1d20, and then you'll look at your pluses to hit, and your pluses to hit As you scroll down to the weapons section, you have an actual plus 11 to hit. So the Rangers have a hell of a plus to hit. So yeah, anything that you want to attack with, it's basically with your bow plus 11. And then your damage is plus 4. And if it's a solo creature, it's plus 5. Which that is a solo creature because he doesn't have anything adjacent around him.
Alright, it's plus what? Plus 1?
Plus 11. So it's a 1d20 plus 11.
Just a little tip, that Stalker's Mist is overpowered.
And then plus 1 power for...
Actually, I changed Stalker's Mist. I took that off of the Ranger, actually.
Oh,
I changed it. I actually gave him Entangling Roots. But yes, you're right. The Stalker's Mist is seriously overpowered. And 26 versus armor class on that Gnoll Huntmaster is a very solid hit. So you can go ahead and roll your damage. And your damage for that bow, you'll look at the shot that you had. I think you said you did Clever Shot, correct? So basically, what happens is your bow does a flat 1d10 damage. I think, yeah, 1d10. So you're going to do a 1d10 plus 5 because he's a solo creature. He doesn't have anything else around him. And then you get to add an effect to your attack. So go ahead and do a 1d10 plus 5. That's how much damage he's going to take. And then you have 3 other effects that you can do with your Clever Shot. You can slide him to in any direction as long as there's no obstacle there. You can make him fall prone, or you can actually slow him until save ends. So, and slow is basically you take his movement from whatever it is. I believe he's a 7 movement. You would take him from 7 to 2 until he does a successful saving throw, and then he goes back to 7. So.
My aspect also gives me a plus 1 to damage on solo enemies.
Yeah. Then you would add in plus 1 more for that as well. I did not add in any of the aspect powers because they do change from time to time. So we'll add one more on to that. So you'll do 11 damage, which is a pretty solid hit.
And then I want him to be prone.
Okay, he is prone. And I'll put a little marker on him to signify that he is prone. That's the marker that I use for prone. Alright, so that's it. You want any movements or anything, Lova, or are you done?
Yeah, I'll move forward just a little bit.
Okay. Alright, Gim, you're up with Rack. Barrel
Well,
in there, dwarf.
Is that Gnoll supposed to be taking like all those squares, or is he just off-centered?
He's just off. He's just off one square. I just gotta move him.
I'm going to take double movement.
All right, you're gonna double move it.
And that's it. Except for I'm doing a free action. I'm going to bark at the Gnoll.
He's going, what?
He just kind of tilts his head at you, Gim, and just kind of slants one of his eyes, and then he speaks in common. He says, "Did you just say what I thought you heard? What I just thought I heard you say?"
You've accidentally done a Gnoll mating call. Prepare.
The Gnoll says, "Currently, I'm not looking for any kind of relationships, especially with a dwarf. They don't mix too well."
What a posh sounding Gnoll.
If I have an opportunity to regale him on what I said,
Sure. What did you say?
it isn't that I want to stick in you.
Oh.
Oh.
are you trying to do like a diplomacy check?
I think he's wanting to do some kind of a flirt or something. All right, so next up is one of the hyenas, which is the one on top, and he will come into plain view now. These are actually pretty big hyenas. They're about 3.5 foot tall, so that's why you weren't able to actually see the hyena behind the golden coffer. So this hyena does move 5 squares, is standing on top of the coffer and will attack Gim. Alright, Gim, so you're being attacked.
Opportunity attack?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Okay.
If you had a 2-foot, now does your I don't know, does your great axe give you a reach of? I don't think it does, but let's just double check.
I can reach him with my great axe.
Does it have a reach of 2?
No.
Even so, I don't think PCs can get threatening reach.
If it was a reach of 2, I'd be whacking that gnoll.
I think some of the weapons do, like a glaive and the pole arm. I think those have the threatening reach. Well, the mechanic to it, but no, I didn't think the great axe did. So, or the great sword. But now, if he was another square away and then moved within 1 square to you where he's at now, then yeah, you'd get an opportunity attack. But yeah. All right, so he's gonna go ahead and bite you. He's drooling, got slobber. This saliva is just hanging off of his fangs. Oops. And I don't think I want to roll 70-20s, so. Alright, so a 16 versus armor class is a miss on Gim. And the hyena is basically is done. Alright, they got a couple cool skills. Next up is the gnoll that's directly in front of you. I will take a double movement to get, a double cost movement to get on the sarcophagus in front of you and attack you from this position as well. So these 2 creatures on the sarcophagus, you guys no longer have a -2 to those creatures, so you guys can attack those freely with no penalties whatsoever. And let's see, the Marauder actually does a spear attack on you again. Ooh, nice bonus to hit. Ooh, and I crit. Look at that, natural 20, Gim. So you're going to take a total of 19 damage from the full crit.
Ow.
Yeah, that's a pretty hefty hit. The damage was definitely modified because I'm using the 4E errata, so the creatures will now start doing a lot more damage. It brings it back up to par to the players, basically. That was a big problem that the Monster Manual 1 and 2 had. Now you'll notice that in all of the other later, Denser monsters, the Monster Vault, Monster Manual 3 has that new formula already added into the monster stats. So, all right, so you get hit for a total of 19 damage there again. That's a pretty hefty hit, and that's it for this gnoll here. Next up is Dritston. You are up, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna move up here. I'll take a minor to throw a healing word at Rack.
Okay.
You get Surge +3. And then I guess I'll charge the gnoll on top of the coffin. So it's +6 to hit? Is it +1 to hit from charging, or is that damage?
No, it's +1 to hit. Yeah, there's no damage modification.
23.
Very nice hit. Yeah, definitely a solid connection. Yeah, you take your mace and crush his
Not a very good damage roll, though.
Yeah, but you definitely
I hit him
got
in the
his
shin.
attention. Yeah, but it's a solid hit though, man. Even though it's not so damaging, you definitely got his attention.
Well, that's it for me.
He just kind of snarls at you. Alright, so next up is our gnoll friend in the back. Way back here to the east. The Huntmaster. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and move the Huntmaster over several squares. So I've moved him 5. And I'm going to take advantage of a skill that he has called Pack Attack. And what Pack Attack does is basically deals 5 extra damage on Basically, it's yeah, it does 5 extra damage on any melee and range attack against an enemy that has 2 or more of the allies of the Huntmaster adjacent to it. So you have these 2 creatures adjacent to you again, so he's going to get a pack attack bonus. And he does attack you with his longbow. Whew. Pretty nice to hit as well.
Nasty attack.
That is a 21 versus armor class versus rack.
It's a good thing I healed him.
Ooh, and Gim, you just get hit for another 21 damage. Wow.
Ouch.
Gonna be a short game.
No, it won't be a short game. You guys will be fine. He just got healed for quite a bit, so... I've actually been rolling really high, so... Usually I don't roll this good. Alright, so that's it for the Huntmaster. We've got a hyena now. This hyena is going to move some... Going to do a little bit of movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Snots, you can see that there is a... Well, Snot, you can actually see a hyena jump over this small coffin here. And looks like he's getting close to engage Snots. He's used his movement. That's it for him. Farnak, you are up now.
What's the
All
movement
right.
on those hyenas?
8.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take some movement. I'm gonna move
No,
up to right
Sanders.
here,
Not in the one-shots.
and I want to use Fountain of Flame.
I love you, Sanders. You're awesome. Can I buy a boon for the monsters?
Okay, so that's a 3d8 intelligence modifier. Intelligence versus reflex. Now what's the area effect on that?
On which one now?
Fountain of Flame.
Fountain of Flame.
Does it affect-
Basically, what Fountain of Flame does is you can put a point. Now, that point, wherever you want to do it, I think it's within 10 squares. Let me open up your card. Real quick.
Yeah, it's within 10 squares. So
Yeah. So you're going to want to put a point on the map somewhere, and it's basically going to do a burst. So it's going to be a 3x3 square, and I'll go ahead and I will put down a square for you to represent where the fire is going to be.
okay, 3x3.
Yeah, it'll be basically sort of like Stalker's Miss, the same size. It'll be a 3x3 square.
Yeah, I want it right there.
All right.
How do you make those pings?
Ping. Just hold down the left mouse button anywhere on the map where you want to put it. Now, can you ping that one more time for me? Okay. Ah, very good. So basically, this is where you can see the light red square that I've thrown down onto the map. Right? Everybody can see that.
Yep.
All right. So basically, that's where your Fountain of Flame is going to be. So you need to roll an attack on the 2 creatures, like the hyena up top and the gnoll, and do separate attacks for them. And depending on if they hit or miss, then you'll do damage. I think you do half damage on a miss with that. So
Yeah, I do. And so which intelligence modifier do I use? I have 2 of them here. I have a +5, and then there's a half that's a +7.
well, because you're going to be using your staff, so that's an implement. Let me pull up your. Yeah, the bonus to hit is for the staff. I mean, plus it's an implement spell anyway, and a staff is the wizard's implement, and you have to have the staff in your hand to be successful in casting the spell. So, but yeah, it'll be +8.
+8?
+8,
Got it.
yes sir. Welcome to the channel there, Mr. Grunt. Yeah, this is got some new players in here, and several that have already played before. So these are basically just games put together. They're short games, not really with a lot of plot. It's 4th edition, which is
Okay,
so it's more combat orientated. Yeah, I think you rolled the wrong one. You're going to have to do 1d20